Hello, this is Anthony, and right now I'm going to show you really quickly, this should be a quick one, how to make a basic triad, okay? And exactly why you need 3 notes and not 2 and not 1. Okay, so let's assume here I have a little MIDI clip. Let's assume that I'm trying to make just basically 2 different chords here, right, with the same root note, and the root is the bottom note here. So now I have 2 C's, as you can see. So right here, I have the root note just playing twice. That's not going to work, clearly, because they sound exactly the same. So let's say I go ahead and add a 5th. And a 5th is going to be called a 5th because it's the 5th note in the scale. And from a C, it's going to be a G. That's going to be the 5th. So go ahead and do that. And this sounds good, but they don't sound like different chords. They sound like the same chord being played twice, right? In fact, when someone refers to, I don't know how many of you have played the guitar, but a lot of times when people refer to power chords, they're referring to basically chords that are only the root, the 5th, and the octave, which would be the next C up, for example. And the reason those are really easy to learn is because you don't have to worry about which kind of chord it is. If it's a minor chord or a major chord, you're just worried about the 5ths, which work for everything. That's why it's really easy to learn. But for this, unfortunately, usually we have more things going on, so you got to mess around with the 3rds. And the 3rd is going to be called the 3rd because it's the 3rd note in the scale. It's also the defining characteristic of a chord. So the 3rd is what makes a minor chord sound different than a major chord. So a 3rd up, and the 3rd is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps up from the root. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and a minor 3rd is going to be 1 half step below that. So 1, 2, 3 above the root here. So let's listen to how they're different. So you can see how those are quite a bit different. And that's why you need 3 notes minimum to make a chord, okay? Or to make a chord whose character you can really hear. So one thing that I pointed out in the blog post, which is really important, is that it's not so necessary, especially if you're doing it on a computer like we are, is you don't necessarily have to worry about the notes so much as the intervals, okay? So I can take this chord and put it in any key just by dragging up the root. So let's say it's D here, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's going to be my 3rd. And then my 5th is going to be 1, 2, 3 above my 3rd. So there's going to be 3 between these two, between the root and the 3rd, and there's going to be 2 open spaces between the 3rd and the 5th. Okay, so remember there's going to be 4 half steps between the root and the 3rd, and there's going to be 3 half steps between the 3rd and the 5th. Okay, so now I'm going to have a major chord in D, and I can do this with any key whatsoever. So as long as you memorize the intervals, you should be okay. So don't worry too much about the notes. Worry more about the intervals. Okay, hopefully that helps out, and I will see you later.